Valentine Rd right-of-way condemnation ordinance. Ken and Ted?
Well, I'm just going to let Ted talk on this one.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So you're well aware of the Valentine project. You've seen it after many times. Last time was removing the swales and going with underground infiltration. This time we're moving forward with condemnation. I don't like the word, but we are at risk of losing $4.9 million from our curb grant if we don't get to a certain stage by November. And we're making some good progress. If you look at the 11 by 17 that passed out, it's kind of color-coded. On top you'll see red, in the middle you'll see yellow, and on the bottom you'll see green. The red are property owners that I may or may not have had discussions with. If I have had discussions, they don't look very positive to accepting the offers that we've made. Yellows I'm having some discussion with, and I'm at least feeling good. And greens, we are in the process of either creating the documents or they are signed. So you'll see actually two different colors in the green, a light green and a dark green. The lights are the documents that are in process, and the greens are already been signed. We're shooting really hard to try to work with these property owners and get stuff done, so we're not taking it into condemnation, but I feel like some of them will get into the first stage of the condemnation process, and we're hoping to get possession and use agreements. So I think most people want the project, they just want to negotiate the dollar amount that they're going to be receiving. If you'll notice behind me is City of Sumner attorney, Brett Benson, who I'm guessing has more to say than what I said. So do you have any questions with what I've...
Only one. There's one that's not color-coded. First was 79, 80, and 81.
Yes.
Some driveway issues?
Very good question. So, we just received the intersection back from the Stewart Road project about a month ago. And looking at where it was and what's going on, the trail is going through there north and south on Valentine. The trail wasn't meeting guidelines the way it was drawn, so we are drawing it to meet the guidelines for trail requirements, and with doing such, it pushed into the property of that property owner a little bit more than what we had thought. So we have to revise our plans, redo the appraisal, and kind of step backwards and restart that process with that property owner. And I guess I should say also, Gordon Pacific LLC was also going to be removed from the ordinance. They're just on my list because they're still one of the things I'm trying to negotiate with. So, all right, I'll pass it over to the attorney.
So you heard all the exciting part of what's going on, the construction side of things and the negotiation side of things. My name is Brett Benson. I'm the Sumner City Attorney. I've been kind of in the background with Mr. Hill as he's been working feverishly to try to acquire the right-of-way for this joint project between the City of Sumner and the City of Pacific. I've had the pleasure to meet with your good mayor at least 2 or 3 times over the past week. And I've had an opportunity to speak to a couple of the council members several months ago, I guess it was, when we were talking about what would be in the best interest of both cities, and that was with the interlocal agreement and how Sumner would kind of be the project manager for that. We've had a very cooperative relationship with the City of Pacific, and I want to really thank you for your vision and your foresight in approving those interlocal agreements. We've had a great opportunity to work with your staff as well, and it's truly been a pleasure. We're kind of in the home stretch with this project, but it's also where it gets a little bit tricky from the legal side of things. And what you have before you right now is an ordinance that authorizes me as your agent, based upon those interlocal agreements, to file condemnation actions on behalf of the City of Pacific. As Mr. Hill has said, it is not something that any of us take very lightly, both here in the City of Pacific or in the City of Sumner, and we've tried diligently to try to not have to go down that path. What you have before you is the ordinance that would actually authorize the condemnation actions to go forward. That does not mean that once those actions are filed, that negotiations cease. In fact, it's been my experience that they actually heighten and there's a lot of opportunity for continued dialogue and a very cooperative and a positive resolution. Just because a lawsuit is filed doesn't mean at that point that it's a complete adversarial action going forward. What is unique about the ordinance in front of you is, as many of you have probably already realized, is an emergency ordinance. And there are two types of ordinances. One is a regular ordinance that becomes effective 5 days after publication. As you are well aware, emergency ordinances are effective immediately upon passage. Now, it's significant in this aspect for one very important reason. We are asking you, and it's a difficult ask, but we're asking that you pass an emergency resolution authorizing condemnation so that I could file condemnation actions as quickly as I could thereafter, the next day, next 2 or 3 days after that. Now, the reason why that's important is when you look at a calendar. In condemnation action, property owners can have up to 30 days after you file a condemnation action to give you possession and use in order to kind of preserve their ability or their potential to get attorney's fees. That 30-day window ends past the time of when we need to start having the right-of-way approved through TED and all of that, going through the diaries. And so if you have a regular ordinance and it's 5 days after publication, and publication is the end of next week, we effectively lose 2 weeks of time. And we're back in pushing that time schedule back into the 1st of October, that a property owner could give us the right-of-way after that 30-day window. Because of that time frame is well past the date that Mr. Hill needs to be working on finalizing all of the right-of-way and getting it all approved. So we're asking you to approve an emergency ordinance so that on the 13th, 14th, 15th, right in that range, we will be filing condemnation actions against the people that we don't have signed documents back yet. Just to put your mind at ease a little bit, last week we sent out 2 letters. One letter was to all of the light greens, and not only did we send out the letter, we've been following up with phone calls from my office, an assistant city attorney, saying, hey, look, state law requires that you be included, your property be included in that ordinance that's going to be passed on the 12th, hopefully passed on the 12th. And if you're just sitting on the documents and you haven't returned them back to us, is there a way that we can help you get it back? Do you need a notary? Do you need us to come out to your property here in Pacific? Can we overnight the documents? What can we do to help you facilitate this transaction? And we've had some pretty positive feedback on that. And Mr. Hill, you said that most of the light greens are going to be signed up this week. So that significantly also reduces the number of property owners that they're actually going to be filing condemnation action. In addition, I sent a letter to the one in red that said, I need you to talk to me, contact me, and so that we can figure out where you are at in this process, this negotiation process. So are there any questions about the emergency ordinance and its necessity at this time? As you recall, if we don't get the right-of-way approved timely, then both the City of Sumner and the City of Pacific stand a very significant likelihood of losing the $4 million funding, as well as the about 1.2 million, I believe, from the City of Pacific that would have to be paid back, and about 500,000 to 600,000, I think, for the City of Sumner. So it's critical. We're down to truly the 11th hour, 59th minute here on this. And if there, after any questions about that, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Jeff Teraday, who's going to be on the next topic of the agenda.
I have a question, not necessarily on the substance, but I'm curious. It's drafted as an ordinance, but it doesn't amend or enact any part of our municipal code. Is it better? Is it more appropriate a resolution, or am I missing something here?
That's a very astute question. Typically, ordinances are primarily used to amend a portion of the code. However, that's not their only function. An ordinance can be used when it is not amending a particular code. In fact, in state law, sometimes they use the words interchangeably, but in the sections for condemnation and eminent domain, it specifically says that the council is required to adopt an ordinance, and so that's why we're going to use that form.
And if I can follow up with that, in section 1, in the therefore piece, it references in Exhibit A. Is that this, or am I not finding that in there?
You're right, that you're not finding it in there, and the reason why we don't have it quite in there yet is the Exhibit A is going to be the list of all the property owners and the legal descriptions, and so we're holding off to see how many we can get. So essentially, it would be, the property owners that we don't have but that will be part of the ordinance on Monday night for sure.
There wouldn't be anything on Exhibit A beyond the things that we see here?
Correct. Yeah.
Just for the fun.
That's just for the City of Sumner that I get played on Sunday.
You're going to sneak your house into it, man.
Yeah, have it. Be great.
Other questions from council? Just one. I'm assuming from your presentation that you are quite confident in the legal basis for an emergency on this one?
Yes, in fact, we also met with the mayor and Mr. Luce earlier this week. I've had several conversations with him. So we've been, it's always a little bit uncomfortable for me coming and making a presentation to another city council members, but we have been keeping Mr. Luce very closely involved, and do defer to his opinion because he is the city attorney for the City of Pacific.
Any further questions? Council pleasure?
Just an FYI, that Ken Luce did review the ordinance and approved it.
Next item on the agenda, thank you. Lighthouse Law Firm, letter of engagement.
This is Mr. Jeff Teraday, and he is a condemnation expert, and I am not being flattering when I say that. He worked on the Seattle Monorail project, and he was specifically involved in acquiring a significant amount of property in a very short period of time. He's been practicing, he looks young, but he's been practicing law for quite some time, and he's very astute in all things condemnation related. City of Sumner, we've used him on several different projects, one of which was a very complex related condemnation. He very favorably assisted the council and me. Given the potential number of property owners that may be involved, in the fact that I am basically a 1.5 attorney shop with the City of Sumner, I wouldn't be able to timely file or timely represent both cities effectively, and so it's with my strong encouragement and recommendation that the council approve the letter of engagement for Mr. Teraday's services. He's already met kind of on his own dime He's probably put in close to 10 hours, and himself, and he's had other associate partners working on some of these matters already. Met with down here last week with the mayor for about 2 hours as we've kind of discussed these matters. So he's intimately involved, and he's geared up and ready to go. And I can let him speak a little bit more about what he can bring to the table.
Thanks, Brett. So again, hi, Mayor, Council, nice to meet you all. My name's Jeff Faraday, and I'm with a firm called the Lighthouse Law Group. And as Brett said, we're a municipal law firm, but we do a lot of condemnation work. And over the course of my legal career, I've had occasion to condemn everything from parks to road widening projects to monorail property and sewer easements and a number of other things. And so this is certainly right in our wheelhouse, and be happy to answer any questions that you might have about our proposed terms of engagement. I did send a copy of our proposed terms of engagement to your city attorney, Ken Luce, and also to the mayor. And so the one thing I will note is that at Ken's request, I usually charge my full hourly rate for travel time. At Ken's request, I'm reducing that to 50% of my rate. So, and other than that, I don't have anything else to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from council?
These costs are budgeted as part of the, anticipated part of the larger project cost? Yeah.
Any other questions from council? Council's pleasure?
Move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council.
Next is discussion on marijuana dispensary moratorium. Paula?